Now mountains started falling as I ran and I prayed. Lord, if you let me make it out alive, I never chased another pole for my whole damn life. Well, I keep on chipping and chipping away. There's a little more gold left here today. All I gotta do is pull it right from the ground. Every time I take a little piece, I know I'm towing the line. If you keep going, sooner or later, this whole thing is coming down. But I keep on chipping and chipping away. There's a little more gold left here.
It is.
All I gotta do is pull it right from the ground. Every time I take a little piece, I know I'm towing the line. If you keep going, sooner or later, this whole thing is coming down. How can you say it's all been done under the moon, under the sun? How can you say you're over it when we haven't even started yet? How can I stay? Give up the fight when no one's wrong and nothing's right. How can I stay?
Good morning. Most of you know I'm pretty loud anyway. I really don't need a mic. Good morning. If everyone could take their seat. We're going to be starting in just a moment.
Hey, do you have Wi-Fi? He gave me a password just in case we need it.
Yeah. I want to make sure you guys had it.
I'm doing
Cool, cool. Thank you, ma'am. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. I know I haven't had a chance to do this with you in person all year, but you know me. And I wanted to make sure you guys were awake. I'm Dawn Jones. I'm your 58th president of the State Bar of Georgia, and it's my distinct pleasure to welcome you to this, our first in-person meeting of the entire bar year. And for those of you who don't know, we have not gathered in person for an annual meeting in 2 years. So this is overdue. So I'm extremely happy to see everyone. There is a Wi-Fi password that you can use for this meeting. It's SBGAM21, SBGAM21. We normally, over the past course of the year, we normally take a moment of silence for folks that we've lost since the last time we were gathering together as a Board of Governors. We're going to, instead of doing that at this meeting, we're going to have a memorials recognition at the end of today's session. So keep that in mind. But I wanted to make sure you guys knew that we're still going to honor those that we've lost over the course of this past year. Welcoming everyone to our annual meeting, our Friday plenary session. Hopefully you've gotten some good breakfast. I hereby call this meeting to order, and I call up Shariki Jones to lead our Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning, everyone. If you are able to stand, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
I'd like to call Francis Johnson up to give our invocation.
Let us pray. Loving God, thank you for giving us another day full of promise and purpose and power. As we reflect on the 20,421 Georgians lost to COVID, we are grateful that the numbers of infections and hospitalizations are falling even as our hopefulness rises. In a time when ranked opinions and narrow positions of interested parties are heightened, may we continue to consider as a bar the very real concerns about peace and justice in our communities, as exemplified in the life and untimely death of Ahmaud Arbery of Brunswick. We are grateful for the courageous leadership of Dawn Jones and her cabinet, and many in the bar and across the benches of our judiciary that made a real difference over this last bar year. May God bless our incoming president and her cabinet with discomfort at easy answers and half-truths and superficial solutions so that we can make this next bar year count towards improving the human condition. Bless us all this day and every day with enough foolishness to believe that lawyers can make a difference in this world, and so that together, this State Bar of Georgia can do what others claim cannot be done. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Before I recognize our special guests, I want to give you all a little bit of housekeeping information. Hopefully we got a good number of folks who've gotten breakfast and are now settled down as we begin the business of this annual meeting. If you're virtual, your attendance will be captured automatically by a report. Enter your full name so that we have an accurate report for both attendance and voting. If you need to speak, raise your virtual hand, those of you attending virtually, and you will be acknowledged by the president, me, and promoted so that we can hear and see you. And when I say me, I really mean Damon's going to give me a heads up. For voting, For those of you voting virtually, a pop-up will appear on your screen. Those will be added to the total in-person votes. If you have a question and do not wish to speak, you can put it in the Q&A section, which will be moderated by our Executive Director, Damon Elmore, who will also give me a heads up. The chat is enabled, but it will not be monitored for questions. Please use Q&A as we have done for the last 4 Board of Governors meetings. Please use Q&A if you have any questions. We certainly welcome you to chat appropriately with each other. It's a way for us to stay connected. And keep in mind, everyone, this is a public meeting. And I am certain that we have members of the media present today. Having said that, for those of you who don't know, we actually have 3 groups attending this meeting. We have a group of Board of Governors members and guests in this room. We have a group of Board of Governors members and guests in a separate room on property, also socially distanced, sitting 6 feet apart. And we have a group virtually attending today's Board of Governors meeting. So I ask and implore you for patience and continued kindness as we work through the agenda to make sure that everyone is heard and everyone has a chance to ask questions, especially for those action items we need to take care of today. Having said that, I would like to recognize our special guests. And forgive me for flipping back and forth. I got a lot of paper up here. From the Supreme Court of Georgia, we have attending Chief Justice Harold Melton, Presiding Justice David Namias, Justice Michael Boggs, Justice Nels Peterson, Justice Charlie Bethel, who is attending virtually, Justice John Ellington, Justice Carla Long McMillan, and Justice Sean Ellen LaGrua, who just happens to be a Georgia State University College of Law graduate. On the Court of Appeals attending today's meeting are Chief Judge Chris McFadden, Presiding Judge Ann Barnes, who's attending virtually, Presiding Judge Sarah Doyle, Presiding Judge Stephen Dillard, Presiding Judge Clyde Reese, who's attending virtually, Judge Trent Brown, Judge Elizabeth Doble, Judge John Pipkin III, and Judge Verda Coleman. Past presidents of the State Bar of Georgia. And I'm really feeling you guys today. Past presidents who are in attendance: Bill Barwick, Bobby Chasteen, Gerald Edenfield is attending virtually, Jim Elliott, Jimmy Franklin, Linda Klein is attending virtually, Pat O'Connor, Patrice Perkins Hooker, Buck Rogers, Ken Shigley, Daryl Sutton, who I'm really envying, and Lester Tate. Our other special guests, and all of us are special, believe me, our other special guests that we'd like to acknowledge are Attorney General Chris Carr and Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms is attending virtually. I'd like to now recognize the retiring executive committee members and retiring board members. They are actually listed in your board book. They will be giving, when we get to the awards and presentations portion of our program, they're going to be acknowledged individually when we give out the awards. But you notice that they're listed, and we thank them wholeheartedly for their service to this organization and to their leadership. I'm going to ask Tony Del Campo, our current secretary, to handle the roll call.
All right, good morning, folks. It's great to see everybody here bright and early. And if you're in the other room, welcome. And if you're participating by Zoom, welcome to you as well. I'm going to pass out the roll in this room. There's somebody, a staff person, that will be passing the roll out in the other room. Please make sure you sign your name in the appropriate line, and we'll get it recorded. If you are participating virtually, as Dawn said, make sure your name is listed. If you are participating on a phone, just send me or Sarah an email so we'll know that you were participating, and we'll count you as being present. Thank you very much.
And for those who don't know, including my family who are here today, and I'm so happy to have them here, if you're a guest, you too get to sign the roll as a guest. So please sign in regardless of whether or not you're a Board of Governors member or member of the bar. I'm going to ask our incoming president, Elizabeth Fight, to talk to you about our future meeting schedule.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you all. Also, if you haven't noticed, I've really enjoyed myself the past few days, so I'm fighting a bout of laryngitis. It's perfectly timed for tomorrow's meeting, as one would do. If you turn to your board book, you will see on page 25 and 26 our future meeting schedule. We'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow too, but for those of you who are here today for the plenary session for members meeting, just wanted to highlight our next plenary session will be at the mid-year meeting, which will be in Buckhead in Atlanta, Georgia in January. And then again, our next plenary session will be the annual meeting, which will be at Amelia Island next year. So look forward to seeing y'all there.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So we have, I'm sorry, I lost my page. So we have the minutes of the 286 meeting of the Board of Governors that Tony's going to present.
All right, good morning, folks. Again, on page 27 through 31 of your board book, you'll find the minutes of the 286th meetings of the Board of Governors. Are there any additions, subtractions, or edits that anybody would like to make? All right, hearing none, I'll receive a motion to adopt those minutes. All in favor, say aye. No?
Hold on.
Oh,
We have 3 rooms to vote. So they're going to be 3 separate votes taken. So we're going to take this room, we're going to call room A, then we're going to take the next room, room B, and then we're going to vote virtually. Again, we ask for your patience. So thank you, Tony. No, you can hang out even. Because we have some more minutes to take care of. Yes. All those in favor in room A, the room I'm in, please say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Room B, we're going to see in just a second. Room B, there's a motion to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. And someone in that room is going to tell me what the vote is. I can hear you now. Let me try that one more time. Those of you in favor of approving the minutes as presented, say aye. Did I lose the sound again? We took a vote.
Everybody.
Thank you for that. Moving on to our virtual attendees. Okay, and Michael's giving me the thumbs up. And they're not getting a poll, or they're getting a poll. So everyone who's voting virtually will be voting virtually by polling for all of the votes taken today. So you will have a pop-up right now. You have about 20 seconds to respond to the pop-up questioning about yay or nay to approving the minutes of our last Board of Governors meeting. Thank you. Do we have a sense of the minutes have been approved? Thank you. Again, this is a new and unique way of handling our business, but as we've done all year, we continue to get it done. We now have minutes of the, I now adjourn our Board of Governors meeting and call to order our members meeting. For those newer Board of Governors members and guests, once a year at least, we have a members meeting where every active member of the State Bar of Georgia is able to participate. We had a very active members meeting January of this year, and had extensive discussion about some changes, proposed changes. We have minutes of those meetings, and I'm going to ask Tony to come back up and present them in this members meeting. As a reminder, every active member of the State Bar of Georgia is able to participate in this vote.
Thank you, Don. On page 38 of your board book, you will find those minutes of that member meeting that Don was just referencing. So like we did the former minutes, I'll ask if anybody has any additions, subtractions, or edits to those meetings. I am hearing none. You want to do the honors? Thank you.
All those in favor of approving the board of the members meeting minutes, please say aye. And I'm talking to folks in this room. Any opposed? Okay. Let's go to the other in-person Board of Governors meeting room for the annual members meeting vote on minutes. Tell me when we have audio. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Can someone confirm in that room that we have a majority of ayes?
Majority of ayes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now we're going to go to the virtual polling for all active members of the State Bar of Georgia in attendance. You get to vote on these minutes. The poll is up. Please vote. The minutes have been approved by majority vote. Thank you. We're now going to move towards the awards presentation portion. I don't think I have notes on those housekeeping, but let me say this. You can tell that this has been a different year for us, how we've handled our business, how we conducted our meetings. We are also going to change how we normally do the awards presentations. We are handling awards presentations from the last bar year of 2019 to 2020, and for this bar year of 2020 to 2021. As a result, we effectively have 2 years worth of awards to give in our normal 3-hour Friday annual meeting. I'm calling back to order for the record, the Board of Governors meeting, so that we can proceed with the awards presentations. I ask for your patience. As we roll through this, we have at least one virtual attendee who award recipient, and we also have we have the State Bar of Georgia Communications Department set up to take photos. Normally you have an opportunity to come up and take as many photos as you'd like. We don't have the capacity in our schedule today to accommodate all of those extra photos. There will be opportunities afterwards. And were you going to say something about that? Okay. Okay. We have one more action item that clearly I skipped for the Board of Governors meeting. We're going to take care of it now. Damon's being nice to me. We're going to take care of it now. It is a business discussion. And it's something I want to get out of the way before we actually have a little bit of fun. You all may recall, and it's in your board book at, thank you, 42 to 37. During our retreat, you hopefully remember this discussion, Board of Governors members, that we had in January when I brought to you some requests for us to create a policy, a program, a practice of how to address sections that have not been active for several years. In August, when we had our State Bar of Georgia Executive Committee retreat, we had approximately 6 sections that had not met in several years. They had not been active. They had not provided any events. and they had continued to receive section membership payments. We wanted to address that. As always, we want to be good stewards of the monies, whether there's dues monies or section monies paid. As a result, we came to you, talked to you in January, and said we needed to have some rules in place so that we can manage and address consistently and reasonably what to do with sections that become inactive. After we all talked to you all and we came to agree and vote on some rules, the section director, Mary Jo, went back to each of those inactive sections multiple times over approximately 4 or 5 months, giving the section leaders every opportunity to do something, to speak up, to say, hey, we're here. We want to continue to do the work of the section. All but 2 sections stepped up and basically reactivated. The 2 sections that are being proposed for inactivity for more than 3 years, and the information is in your board book at 32 to 37, are the individual rights section and the law and economics section. So before we go into voting, just because of how we're going to have to vote in this one room, second room virtually, I want to know if there's any discussion or comments as it relates to these 2 sections and their inactivity based on the information that we have provided to you. And I recognize Patrice Perkins Hooker, past president of State Bar of Georgia.
I just want you to know we need, as a member, I want to move that we adjourn the members meeting and go back to the Board of Governors meeting so that you can take this action appropriately.
And I think I opened the Board of Governors meeting. I thought I had adjourned it and opened the Board of Governors meeting when I did the awards presentation. If I didn't, for the record, I adjourned, thank you very much. For the record, I adjourned the members meeting and hereby reopen the Board of Governors meeting. Thank you for that, to be clear on the record. So, and again, this is a Board of Governors item. Only Board of Governors members who are active today. There's a new Board of Governors group starting tomorrow. So those Board of Governors members who are still members through the end of this bar year are able to vote, as you have in the earlier set of minutes. Any questions or discussions? Can we go to the second room, and can someone confirm for me that there are no virtual questions before we take these 2 votes? And Damon, which one's first? For the polling? You know if it's law and economics. Thank you. Okay, I don't hear any discussion. So is there a motion? I believe the first polling question, that's what we're going to go with. I'm just going to come up. The first question is, the recommendation is to, I believe the word, Paula, correct me if I'm wrong, dissolve. Say it again. We were using sunset. Bill, what's the rule say? Demolish, I hate that word. We're going to say dissolve. Demolish just sounds cool. And let me say this, we have gotten a handful of feedback from members who were concerned, who one, had not participated in our discussion in January, were non-Board of Governors members. So they had no clue why we sent out the proper notice. And they're like, hey, why are you dissolving, for example, the individual rights section? Don't you care about individual rights? That's not the issue. Of course we do. But if the section is not doing what it's supposed to do, we can't continue to take people's money. It's as simple as that. So every person in this room has an opportunity to create a section. We just established a religious liberty law section just a couple months ago, earlier this bar year. We have an opportunity to set any section in place, in motion that we want to do, but you have to do the work to do that. And you can see the Office of General Counsel for the criteria. So having said all that, we're going to take a vote, and we're going to start in this room with the individual rights section. All those in favor of sunsetting, I'll take that word, Paula. Sunsetting, I like that better. Sunsetting the individual rights section, say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Can we go to the second room, please? You want to count? Okay. 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 So the second room, thank you, Damon. We're going to ask folks, because just to save some time, please raise your hand if you agree to sunset the individual rights section. All those in favor of the motion? Thank you. All of those who oppose sunsetting the individual rights section, raise your hand. To my eye, the majority has it. Let's go to the virtual polling.
Ask a question while we're waiting.
Sure, yes, Mr. Pennell, you sure can.
So according to the report on 32, both these sections have balances. What happens to those monies if both are abolished?
They are restricted funds because they were provided for, and I'm going to have our CFO correct me immediately if I'm wrong, because I haven't been treasurer in a couple of years, but as I understand it, if they're restricted funds, so we can't just use them for anything, but they're going to go into the general operations account as restricted funds. Is that correct, Ron? I got that right. Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you. That motion passes by majority vote. Okay, second section that's going to be up for sunsetting. Is there a motion to sunset the law and economic section? Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to abolish the law and economic section. Any discussion, any other questions? Okay. I'm going to start with this room. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to stop. Yes, sir.
Madam President, we want to know what happens to the restricted funds. You said that we place in the general operating account, but how are you going to use those restricted funds if the intended purpose has been sunsetted?
That's a good question.
Sure.
And I'm going to ask Ron to come up and explain that specifically. And Ron Turner is our Chief Financial Officer of the State Bar of Georgia. Ron, you can go right there. If that mic is on.
To answer your question, the funds would go into they're pooled with the rest of the borrow's money. It's considered to be a transfer from restricted to the general operations, and then they can be used for any purpose of the bar within general operations. The restriction has been taken away because we are not giving the money back to the individual people, and that purpose has gone away. So it would go into the general bar's operations for building, salaries, whatever the case may be.
Any other questions before we take the vote on the law and economic section? Okay, so I heard a motion in a second. All those in favor in this room of voting to sunset the law and economic section, say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Going into the second room, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand in just a second. All those in favor of sunsetting the law and economic section, raise your hand. Thank you. All those opposed to sunsetting the law and economic section, raise your hand. I see the majority vote in that room. And let's put up the polling for those Board of Governors attendees virtually. So that sunsetting the law and economic section passed by majority vote. Okay, now we're going on to the awards and presentations section, a portion of this agenda. And again, keep in mind that unless you're real quick and can get up here to take a picture, we're not going to be pausing for folks to take individual pictures. They will be available. These pictures will be available from our communications director and her team, Lauren Kane, who I'm going to ask to stand up because we haven't seen her before. She's one of the new faces of leadership in the State Bar of Georgia. And Lauren Kane is our new communications director, as Sarah Cool, raise your hand, who was a longtime communications director, is now our COO. Okay, so they've told me where to go, which is down here. So again, I'd like to mention, we have a small housekeeping tip. We have a larger than usual number of awards as a reminder to present. And in light of that, we ask you to refrain from coming forward and taking personal photos of the award presentations to avoid any unnecessary delay. The State Bar of Georgia Communications Department will be taking photos and will make those available to anyone interested. And we appreciate your continued patience, kindness, and understanding. I'd also like to start by trying to kill time to go back to the right page. This year's awards presentation. You know what? If you guys weren't here. We do have, I'm sorry, because I said I would do that at the beginning of this meeting. We're presenting outgoing resolutions to every member of the Board of Governors who is rolling off this year. And again, I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of them personally for the service that they've given us, the leadership that they've given us, and the support that they've given us to make this bar better because of their active participation. I'm going to start with my dear friend. I don't like him all the time, but I love him very much. Darrell Lee Sutton, immediate past president. And for those who don't know, I am fully vaccinated. Need to say it, right? Real talk. Will Davis, somebody else who I don't always like, but I love very much. Okay. Okay. Immediate past Wild D president, bringing a lot of spirit. And he will be getting a certificate. He's actually coming back onto the board. He's sneaky, but we're going to take a picture anyway. He is coming off the executive committee. Amy Howell's not here, but I do want to recognize her service on the Board of Governors. She's coming off and has served us very well, and we're going to miss her. So can we give her a round of applause, please? Larry Michael Johnson, who's not present, Alapaha Circuit. I didn't practice this. Thank you. You get in trouble when you don't say it right. And I have been in Georgia since '94, so I know better. Alapaha Circuit, post 1, 5 years on the board. Sam Nicholson, Augusta Circuit, post 1, 9 years on the board, is attending virtually as I understand it. I don't know if we're going to pop him up on the screen, but I'd like to give him a round of applause. James Roberts of Brunswick Circuit, post 1, who served 4 years on the board, is not able to be here today. We have Gregory Futch, Flint Circuit, post 1, 24 years on the board. He is also attending virtually. Let's give him a round of applause. My good friend Ira Foster, member at large, post 1, who served 3 years on the board. Thank you. Francis Johnson Jr., member at large, post 2, 3 years on the board. Francis wants a good one. Thomas Alexander Peterson, the 4th, Middle Circuit, post 2, 5 years on the board. He's not here today. Walter James Gordon Sr., Northern Circuit, post 1, 10 years on the board. Like this? I'm getting directions to take better pictures. Thank you very much. You're not going far. Philip Augustine, out of state, post 1, 3 years on the board. He's not here today. Dennis Sanders, one of the first people I met when I started attending State Bar of Georgia meetings 20 years ago, the annual meetings. Toombs Circuit, 18 years on the board. Okay, now we're going to the awards portion. We're going to start with the Judge Willie Lovett Jr., Advancing the Field of Juvenile Law Award. And we have 2 awards to present for 2 years. Oh, I'm sorry. Juvenile Law and Advocacy is first that I have. We're going to do, because we have a virtual attendee, and we took this out of order, my notes reflected that. I'd like to ask Presiding Justice David Namias to come up, and JP Burlon, Child Protection and Advocacy Section, to join me at the podium for the presentation of the Juvenile Law and Child Advocacy Awards, sponsored by the Committee on Justice for Children of the Supreme Court of Georgia, the Child Protection and Advocacy Section of the State Bar of Georgia, and the Office of the Child Advocate of Georgia.
Okay. So my name is John Paul Berlin. I'm the current chair of the Child Protection Advocacy Section of the State Bar. We are in our 10th year. It started with Nikki Vaughn and many other members of the bar that created this 10 years ago. It's been super exciting for me because a great beginning from Nikki and continue to grow. We have over 500 members, the most members we've ever had. We have a representative in each judicial district, all 10 of them. And so we're super happy to make sure that the section is represented through all 4 corners of the state. The Judge Willie Lovett Award was created 5 years ago. This is our 5th annual celebration of Judge Lovett. His widow, Salithia Butler, is in the other room. I want to recognize that she's present for this. This year's award-winning award, after a committee met and decided that people meet the descriptions, that's the requirements for that award. And I know there's so many technical awards, but I'd like to quote one person, which is to quote Judge Lovett, as someone who has a soaring intellect, who is a compassionate advocate, and always had a great sense of humor, for those who knew him. And so this year's award winners are Ira Foster as our non-judge, but advocate. Ira Foster. And last year's winner for the non-judge advocate was Michael Randolph, public defender. And this year's judicial award is none other than Leroy Burke III, who's right there on the screen.
I think I'm unmuted. I'm just very humbled to receive this award. I knew Judge Levitt and he was everything that you said he was. So thank you very much for the award.
Good morning. On behalf of the Supreme Court of Georgia and the Court's Justice for Children Committee, which I chair, it's my honor to present the 5th annual Chief Justice P. Harris Hines Awards for Outstanding Advocacy for Children in Dependency Proceedings. This award is sponsored by the Justice for Children Committee and the state's Office of the Child Advocate, and it's named in honor of our former colleague, P. Harris Hines, who led the committee for many years and who made improving the juvenile justice system and protecting children in need a major priority throughout his 4 decades on the bench. As you know, Justice Hines died in a car accident shortly after leaving the bench in 2019, and we all still miss him greatly. I'm glad we can continue to honor him by recognizing others who've devoted themselves and their careers to improving the lives of Georgia's children. Every year we present the Hines Award to one attorney and one case manager from the Division of Family and Children's Services, DFACS, who each exemplify outstanding advocacy for children in dependency cases. This year's Case Manager Award goes to Christy Williams. Ms. Williams works in the DFACS office in Chattooga County. She was nominated by our county director with support from her entire team. She served for more than 25 years as a frontline case manager in Chattooga County. She gets to know all of the children and families with whom she works and tailors her case plans to their specific needs. She's available to them day and night, even when she's not on call, and she goes out of her way to find resources for them. Ms. Williams is a true partner for her families and works with them to achieve safety, permanency, and well-being for their children. Ms. Williams is not only a team player for them, but for her coworkers. She's the first to volunteer to go out on a case with a coworker to cover their on-call time and to reach out personally to see if anyone needs help. She mentors new case managers and is a true example of a person with a servant's heart. She's a natural leader of her unit and a great example to other DFACS case managers. Ms. Williams, we're grateful for your incredible advocacy on behalf of the children you serve, and we're honored to present you with the 2021 Chief Justice P. Harris Hines Award for Outstanding Advocacy for Children in Dependency Proceedings. This year's Attorney Award goes to Rick Jones. Make your way up here, Rick. Mr. Jones has worked in the Blue Ridge Circuit for over 20 years. He was nominated by Cherokee County Juvenile Court Judge Jennifer Davis, and I want to share with you some of the things she told us about it. Throughout his distinguished career, Mr. Jones has represented parents and many children. He zealously advocates for the children on his caseload and connects with those kids and has a way of explaining to them both the litigation process and their legal rights so that children feel, as they are supposed to feel, that they are the most important part of the case. Mr. Jones never fails to obtain records about children that everyone else has missed. He captures the child's entire life, and he centers others on the true goals for the children he serves. He makes sure that they have the services they're entitled to and the funding that's out there to support them. And he advocates for children to return to their families as soon as it's safe. He also mentors and shares resources and trains new lawyers and SAGs so they can benefit from his knowledge and experience. He's such an asset to the juvenile courts and to the children he serves. Mr. Jones, we're grateful to you for being such an excellent lawyer for children, and we're honored to present you with the 2021 Chief Justice P. Harris Hines Award for Outstanding Attorney Advocacy for Children in Dependency Proceedings. So last, before I leave, I want to emphasize a point that I always make when we present these awards. That's even more important as we've endured this pandemic. When it comes to the children in our state's child welfare system, we all need to do more and do it sooner and do it smarter. I hope all of us, those who work in the area and those who don't, will use your leadership positions in your communities to improve justice for Georgia's children. It's great to recognize these two outstanding advocates, but there are thousands of people working in our child welfare system who deserve our recognition and appreciation. I hope you'll look for opportunities to recognize their hard work as you work in your local communities. Thank you all for supporting the work that lawyers and judges and everyone else do to help protect the children in our state who most need the opportunity to become productive and happy Georgians. Thank you.
Thank you, Presiding Justice Namias. I'd now like to ask Jay Elmore, Chair of the Military Legal Assistance Committee, to join me at the podium for the presentation of the Marshall Tuttle Award.
There's a lot I could say about our recipients, but I was told to be short, so I will be. But if Charlie and Doug, if y'all could come forward. We're doing 2 people this year from last year and this year. The award is named after Corporal Evan Andrews Marshall, who was killed in Iraq, and also for Judge Tuttle, both of whom exemplified a lot of dedication to the military and veterans. And a matter of fact, we have Charlie, you want to come up? You're the first recipient on this. Charlie actually clerked with Judge Tuttle back in the 70s, which was a pretty quiet time, nothing going on then, was it? and then he continued to be a reserve judge advocate general in the military, and then went on to be with the General Counsel for the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. During all of this time, he worked to ensure rights of veterans as well as everyone else, but also wrote articles on this. That'd be sufficient enough to present him with this award. But more importantly, after he went over to Emory, he, along with Lane Dennard, talked to Emory and the State Bar and proposed the creation of the Emory Law Clinic, where students could work from Emory Law Clinic for veterans. It was veteran-centric. And within a few months, that was opened up, I think in 2013, and has been going strong for 8 years. And during this period of time, they have handled numerous veterans cases. I've had the pleasure and opportunity of working with the students and with that clinic on matters. And I would recommend any of you that are interested, all you have to do is call Emory and they'll put you in connection with these students who are really very hardworking. And as a result of this, Emory was the first in the state to have a veterans law clinic. Now, based upon what they achieved and what they've done, University of Georgia does and Georgia State does. And in recognition of this, I wanted to give, it's always been our pleasure to present a crystal eagle. They're representing the military aspect of it. And in this is the Charles A. Shaner in recognition of outstanding and distinguished efforts in providing legal services to Georgia's military service members and veterans, the Marshall Tuttle Award of 2019. Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go. There you go.
Doug, if you'll come forward. The recipient for this year is Doug Andrews. And let me give you a little background on him. But first, I'd like to say this award is determined by first people in the state bar making recommendations. Then those individuals who were members, who received this award in the past, then shift it through and come up with a proposal which is presented to the Military Legal Affairs Program. And this, again, this year was unanimous for all the work you've done. So that's how we determine this. Let me say a few things about Doug, and that he served in Vietnam in 69 and 70 as with the 199th Infantry Brigade as a battery commander with that. And if y'all have gotten it done with, I wouldn't have had to gone after you. So yeah. Apparently you didn't. Then he continued with the Army as a judge advocate until he retired. But during his time with the military, he received the Legion of Merit twice, 3 Bronze Stars for meritorious service, and Foreign Service medals. But when he got out, he continued, though, working for veterans, and he served as the chairman of the Veterans Council of Chatham County for several years. Then, in addition to that, though, and the reason he's getting this award is that down in Chatham County, he's the one that is known, you go to for pro bono work for veterans, and he's been doing this for years without a great deal of fanfare or recognition or anything. And I'm so excited the fact that we can now publicly recognize you for this. And I think you even have a connection with the first name, Marshall, for the Corporal Marshall. You can say something about that.
Well, the award is named after Corporal Marshall, who was killed in Iraq in January 28th of 2008. Evan Marshall is the son of Sheila and Drew Marshall. Drew is, of course, a member of the Georgia Bar and a member of the Legal Assistance Program. And while I'm this close to Jay, I'm going to pin this flag pin on Jay, because as the chair of the Military Legal Assistance Program, you ought to have the flag on you.
Good. This here again, we are delivering a Crystal Eagle. This is Douglas G. Andrews in recognition of outstanding and distinguished efforts in providing legal services to Georgia's military service members and veterans. The Marshall Total Award for 2020 in the State Bar of Georgia. Thank you. Yeah.
10 more seconds. Chief Justice or Chief Judge Tuttle is also on this award. He served in World War I, and then he served in World War II as a full colonel, 41 to 46, and then retired from the National Guard as a brigadier general. So this award is very special to me because both of them are veterans, and we've lost 7,000 troops since 2001 in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Gulf War on Terror. So if you're a veteran, raise your hand. God bless y'all.
Trying to abscond with the notes. The Chief Justice Thomas O. Marshall Professionalism Awards are presented by the Bench and Bar Committee of the State Bar of Georgia, honoring one lawyer and one judge who have and continue to demonstrate the highest professional conduct and paramount reputation for professionalism. The award recipients are selected by the Bench and Bar Committee. Well, I'm sorry, the award recipients are selected by the past presidents of the State Bar of Georgia in January and presented in June of each year. I'm here to present the 2020 Marshall Professionalism Awards, 2020 marked the 19th time that the Bench and Bar Committee awarded this honor. The judge recipient of the 2020 Marshall Professionalism Award is a rough and tumble soldier receiving a Bronze Star and the Infantryman's Badge during his service in Vietnam, yet he's also soft-spoken and effusively kind. He's a jurist, the one who other judges seek out for advice, but he's also the judge who all lawyers sought to practice before. Over the course of 20 years as a practicing lawyer and more than 25 years as a sitting judge, Toby Prodgers demonstrated all that this award embodies through his service to our profession and to the citizens of Cobb County and the state of Georgia. Over a legal career spanning 50 years, Judge Prodgers was the lawyer and judge that generations of lawyers and judges, including me, sought to be. Congratulations, Judge Prodgers. While the next Marshall Award was conferred in 2020, it's fitting that we waited until 2021 to present it. See, it is during 2021 that the Georgia Legal Services Program celebrates its 50th anniversary, and the 2020 lawyer recipient of the Marshall Award was the driving force behind the founding and creation of GLSP a half century ago. A past president of the Young Lawyers Division, or as it was known then, the Young Lawyers Section, in the State Bar of Georgia, Jim Elliott demonstrated professionalism by his decades of service to the profession and the public. There is no greater intersection between service to both the profession and the public than ensuring that a Georgian who cannot otherwise afford legal representation has access to a lawyer willing and able to help them. Because of Jim and GLSP, thousands of lawyers have served millions of Georgians in need. And in the process, both our profession and the public have been served. Professor Elliott, thank you very much for all you've done for Georgia and the profession of law in Georgia. I think so. Thank you.
Now I'd like to present the 20th Annual Chief Justice Thomas O. Marshall Professionalism Award to this year's recipients. The Honorable John D. Allen. I want to make sure he's not seated in the other room. Michael, can you help us check on that? And in the meantime, I'm going to call up the other recipient of the 20th Annual Chief Justice Thomas O. Marshall Professionalism Award, Buddy Darden, the third. Come on. Buddy was earlier recognized this morning at the General Practice and Trial Section Tradition of Excellence Breakfast. I've known him for years. He doesn't know me, but I know him. And his reputation precedes him. And I want to read the award. George Buddy Darden III, recipient of the 2020-2021 Chief Justice Thomas O. Marshall Professionalism Award. Congratulations. Let's come around here. We have many legal legends in Georgia, and you just met one of them. Now, one of the fun parts of this day is presenting a Georgia Legal Services Program check. I'd like Ira Foster to come up, please. General Counsel and Deputy Director of the Georgia Legal Services Program for this special presentation. So stand, I got a couple more words to say. my friend. This year, a year of years, one of the goals of this year continued to be, it was a plan 2 years ago. We put it into action this year to remind folks about GLSP services and to continue the support of the bar to the extent that we included updates to our website so that at any point in time of the course of the year, not just when you receive and turn in your dues notice, that you could donate to Georgia Legal Services. So I'm going to take all the credit for the amount of money that we raised this year. $827,270 during the 2020 and Justice for All campaign for the Georgia Legal Services Program. I'd like to present this check to Ira, to Georgia Legal Services, and thank every lawyer who donated to these important activities to support those. Access to justice is something we talk about all the time, but money talks. So thank you for making this happen today. You get to take that big check, I think. I'd also like to thank our corporate sponsors. The corporate sponsor for this annual meeting, and we normally present them with the plaque of appreciation. We're very thankful for their support, which helps to make these meetings possible. Our 5 gavel sponsor is Member Benefits. I don't believe there's anyone here to accept the plaque of appreciation, but let's give them a hand of applause. And I want to make sure that Mr. Allen's not in the other room. Okay, good. Not good that he's not here, but good that we didn't overlook him inadvertently. I want to remind us again that we're going to have a large number of local and voluntary bar awards presentations. You will not be able to take individual pictures, but you will be able to get photos from the member benefits. I'm sorry, from the communications department. Yeah. Moving on to the local and voluntary bar activities awards for 2020 and for 2021. To make it easier for us to present, the bars and individuals who will be receiving these awards will receive all awards at the same time, spanning both years and various awards categories as applicable. We don't normally do it this way, but again, to be efficient, we're recognizing you and we're going to call you up to receive multiple awards. Local bars, and what I'm going to do first is read the types of awards that are being presented, and then I'm going to call up the recipients. The Thomas R. Burnside Junior Excellence in Bar Leadership Award honors individuals for a lifetime of commitment to the legal profession and the justice system in Georgia through dedicated service to a voluntary bar, practice bar, specialty bar, or an area practice section. Awards of merit are given to voluntary bar associations for their dedication to improving relations among local lawyers and devoting endless hours to serving their communities. The Law Day of Achievement Award is presented to local and voluntary bar associations that plan the best law day activities in their respective communities to commemorate this occasion. The Newsletter Award is presented to local and voluntary bars that provide the best informational source to their membership. The Website Award is given to local and voluntary bar associations with websites that exemplify excellence in usefulness, ease of use, content, and design in meeting the needs of the website's targeted audience. The President's Cup Award is a traveling award presented each year to the local or voluntary bar association with the best overall program. I'll begin with the recipients of the Thomas R. Burnside Jr. Award for Excellence in Bar Leadership. The 2021 recipient is Rebecca Daly, as nominated by the Walton County Bar Association. Did I say that right? Good. The 2021 recipient of the Thomas R. Burnside Jr. and Excellence in Bar Leadership Award is Joy Lampley Fortson, the Honorable. The remainder of the local and voluntary bar awards will be presented in alphabetical order. Again, this is going away from our usual tradition, but we appreciate your understanding. The Atlanta Bar Association, with more than 501 members, is the recipient of the 2020 Award of Merit. Michael Terry will receive the award on behalf of the Atlanta Bar Association. He's excited, not excited. He's trying to be too efficient. The Cobb County Bar Association also has at least 501 members and is the recipient of the 2021 Award of Merit and the 2021 Website Award. Sue Hong is receiving both awards on behalf of the Cobb County Bar Association. Take one and I hold. How? Looks like I got one. Congratulations. The Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys, with 250 to 500 members, is the recipient of the 2020 Award of Merit, the 2021 Award of Merit, the 2020 President's Cup, and the 2021 President's Cup. Past President Kimberly Burroughs DeBrow and President-elect Shariki, I keep wanting to call you Cabot Jones, she just got married, are the recipient. We have to take a couple pictures because we don't have enough hands up here. So thank you, lady. Oh, there you go. We did. You're right. It's 3 awards. That's right. Yeah, well, we're gonna fight. And that had nothing to do with the recipients receiving the award. Congratulations to all of our local and voluntary, I'm sorry. Yeah, I skipped the whole page, thank you. The Georgia Defense Lawyers Association, 501 members, is the recipient of the 2020 and the 2021 Newsletter Award, being accepted by Jennifer Davis Ward. The Gwinnett County Bar Association, with 105 to 250 members, is the recipient of the, 6 awards. The 2020 Award of Merit, the 2020 Law Day Award, the 2020 Newsletter Award, the 2020 Website Award, the 2021 Newsletter Award, and the 2021 Website Award. These awards are being accepted by Donald Lee and Margaret Washburn. Oh my God, we're gonna need a couple. We got 6. Yeah. We're gonna do this. Okay, all right. There you go. All right. There you go. Congratulations. You gotta give us more room. Congratulations. Well done. The Houston County Bar Association, with 101 and 250 members, is the recipient of the 2021 Law Day Award. LaToya Bell will be accepting on behalf of the organization. Congratulations. The Walton County Bar Association, another multi-winner, has under 50 members. This is impressive. Walton County Bar Association, under 50 members, is a recipient of the 2020 Award of Merit, the 2020 Law Day Award, and the 2020 Website Award. They then increased their membership up to 51 from 51 to 100. We have different categories of awards for the size of each organization. So in that category, they received the 2021 Award of Merit, the 2021 Law Day Award, and the 2021 Website Award. Ann LaMalva will be accepting the award, and Becky Daly will be accepting an award on behalf of the Walton County Bar Association.
They're all yours. Y'all go on that side and I'll pass them through.
Got a truck to help you.
You got all 6?
Now, congratulations to all of our local and voluntary bars for all your hard work over the past 2 years. We're good, right? Let's give a round of applause to all of our recipients today. So where we started, 5 years ago, I ran for Secretary of the State Bar of Georgia. It was a contested election, being the person that made a contested election, entering it after someone else had entered it, a good friend of mine. And I had no idea where I would be going. What I did know was that I had the support of organizations like Gabwa and Gate City Bar, and frankly, the State Bar of Georgia, to support me in whatever endeavor that I decided to undertake. Wasn't sure if I'd win. In fact, I kind of expected to lose. But I tell you what I got out of it immediately during the course of the election, from the 2 months I spent campaigning across the state, crisscrossing the state in my car, staying at very cheap hotels most of the time, was the opportunities I had to meet with lawyers and judges from all over the state who I would not have had the pleasure and opportunity to meet had I not run in that contested election. I received extremely warm receptions, welcome baskets, receptions. People walked me around hand in hand to introduce me to folks in each of those meetings, in each of those associations, in each of those cities throughout the state. Even if I had lost, that time spent on the campaign trail taught me so much more about who we are as a bar association than I had understood or appreciated up until that time. Where we are today is we're meeting for the first time in over a year and a half. We're meeting for the first time as an annual meeting in 2 years. And we are still here. We are not only surviving, but we are thriving together. And I honestly would not have chosen this time to leave, but I am grateful for the journey and for the support and leadership and guidance and cajoling and prayers that I've received over the course of this year. I want to just highlight a couple of things that we did together. I'm going to take credit for all of it. I'm going to take credit for all of it. But what we did together was more than I think any one of us could have imagined under the circumstances. And it really started with Daryl Sutton, who really had to pivot like everybody else. And I need him to stand up. He's cute today. I need him to stand up real quick. He had to pivot. He had to pivot. The bar had to pivot. The Supreme Court had to pivot, and everyone worked together. There's so much that you don't see behind the scenes. I was a Board of Governors member before I became a member of the Executive Committee, and I had no idea about all the work that I had no idea, all the work that went on behind the scenes to make this bar work and move forward every day. You cannot please 52,000 people, but we have to serve them anyway. We're not all going to agree or be on the same page about most anything, but we can work together respectfully. And frankly, the past year, I've never been prouder of the care and kindness that we've been able to give each other. And I'm grateful for that. Not so many years ago, I don't think many lawyers put the words care in the same sentence as a good lawyer. And I think we all understand that we have to, it's our responsibility to care for each other. And I think we understand that in ways we didn't before. So I'm just going to run down the things that I'm going to take all the credit for that we did together as a bar. We hosted so many virtual meetings as Executive Committee members and Board of Governors members, including 4 Board of Governors meetings before today, including my virtual installation last June. And we set a record. Nobody's told me different, so I'm going to keep saying it out loud. We set a record for the longest Board of Governors meeting. It's not funny because it wasn't purposeful, but we were 6 hours and I believe 15 minutes on one virtual meeting, and I did not take a bathroom break, and I'm very proud of that. Thank you very much. But guess what? We got so much work done that day. I was so proud of us. And we talked and discussed and even argued a little bit. And that's exactly what we're supposed to be doing. Every Board of Governors member is elected to do just that. And I'm going to keep, I hope that everybody breaks that record. I hope you don't break that record. We had 15 Executive Committee meetings virtually. We had a 2-day extremely fun, I'm going to use the word fun, joint meeting with the Supreme Court of Georgia. I'm going to use fun. I think they thought it was fun. And it was informative. And you need to know that the relationship between your state bar and your Supreme Court is healthy and thriving. And that's important. We had, I had personally well over a dozen speaking engagements, presentations to various bar associations, the ABA, and other events throughout the state. And I took every opportunity to talk about our bar, about our members, and about the work we do. I established, as you all know, because you were there, we established the Seeking Equal Justice and Addressing Racism and Racial Bias Committee. And if you missed this, how many people were in the CLE yesterday morning? Mike Terry's like, I was there. He got pulled into it at the last minute. He did an amazing job. I was pretty ignorant of a lot of the discussion topics that we had, and I learned so much. And these conversations that we're having, I'm also proud of those. And Daryl started those too last year. And they're hard conversations. They're not supposed to be easy. We have so many differences, but if you learn nothing else, I hope you've taken away this past year how much we are alike, how very much alike we are. I also established a special committee, and I'm going to have Shariki and everybody else who served on the COVID-19 Virtual Planning Committee to stand up. Eric Ballinger in here? Yes. Everybody stand up in the other room. This committee was a committee I appointed to help us think outside the box. We normally have our Board of Governors meetings on Saturday, Friday night, we have a dinner. We have some time to socialize and network. We didn't have that. So this committee not only helped to give us that networking, connecting, fun FaceTime, but they also contributed to the work that we were doing today, to helping us plan events and to give us feedback for this annual meeting. And I'm really grateful. They really stepped up and showed out. I served on numerous committees, which I'm not going to go into as president because I had to. But I was proud of it. And I will tell you that, again, this year, I was so pleasantly surprised and inspired by the fact that we have a voice. I hear all the time from members that, people don't care what the State Bar thinks and what does the State Bar do. We have a voice. People seek out our advice and counsel. And I know that the folks who served before me and who will serve after me will continue to advocate on behalf of our bar and its members. And I appreciate that opportunity. I implemented, I'm going to take credit for it. So we didn't really have meeting practices and protocols, but after you have a couple of virtual Zoom meetings with the Board of Governors, 150 people plus guests, you learn that you need to have some standing policies, and folks jumped in from the bar staff. I'm leaving them to the end, but we all work together to make it happen. So implementing regular virtual meetings, protocols for how to poll and how to conduct business and how to vote, how to determine who's present and who's not, how to determine a quorum. Those are all things we had to figure out. I held weekly huddles initially, and since January, huddles twice a week with senior management, with the Office of General Counsel, Paula Frederick, raise your hand. Paula Frederick, with Damon Elmore, with Sarah Cool, our COO, raise your hand. With, who am I missing? That's pretty much it. And Elizabeth, in preparation for her year, has been in those huddles as well. And every week I had a greater understanding and appreciation for the work that the 105 or so bar members do, bar staff do, the work they do to support not only the members, but the executive committee and the Board of Governors in particular. And I'm grateful for that because we literally would not be here, but for Michelle Garner, Michael Nixon, who just left the room, I think. Yeah. All of the bar staff. And I don't want to run out, I don't want to miss someone, but I wish you understood the yeoman's task it took to get us here today. This hybrid meeting being our first. Was no small feat. And we were flexible and we were accommodating and we got it done. I implemented monthly touches with the wellness newsletter that was started this year and with wellness touches each month. I know we in fact save lives. We don't talk about mental health. We don't talk about stress and anxiety as a group. We don't talk about that as a profession. I was stressed. I was anxious. I was tested this year and I used my 6. If you haven't used your 6 counseling sections that you get as a free member of the bar, you're selling yourself short and you don't need to wait for a crisis to happen to use those sessions. Please take advantage of that effort. We've heard from folks who've told us that they were considering suicide and how the presentations by the Wellness Committee helped. This is serious business, and I'm grateful again as a bar that we're able to have these conversations and talk about real stuff that may make us look weak or may stigmatize us or may open us to ridicule or some other negative aspect. I'm grateful that we understand that being healthy means you're a better lawyer and you're certainly a better human being as a result. Courageous conversations that the Seeking Equal Justice and Addressing Racism and Racial Bias Committee had over the course of the year. Blue Lives versus Blue Lives Matter versus Black Lives Matter. We started off with a really interesting discussion with the Daily Report about how stories are created and when the focus involves someone, a person of color, how that can be misinterpreted and the role that the media actually plays in shaping bias and contributing to bias, implicit or actual, conscious or unconscious. We've had and will continue these healthy conversations. Again, I'm so grateful for the leadership of Anita Wallace-Thomas and Gary Spencer and all of the active committee members of the Seeking Equal Justice Committee. Please stand up and let's give them a round of applause. I asked the executive committee and they showed up and showed out. I asked them, we all serve as executive committee liaisons to all the committees and programs of the State Bar. The staff serve as well in support of our committees and programs. And every executive committee meeting, people updated the executive committee, the liaisons updated all of us on what was going on. And in that way, we had a better idea of how the committees and programs are working. We could identify if in a couple of months after the start of the bar year, folks weren't meeting, what did they need? Were they nervous about meeting virtually? Did they not have the capacity to run a meeting virtually? How can we help them do that? So in that way, we were more efficient and more supportive, even as an executive committee with other stuff to do in supporting the work of the committees and the programs of the bar. We had, again, we had these great social networking events, and I don't discount them. And I don't discount them because that's how I meet people. You don't get to have one-on-one conversations in these meetings unless you're passing notes in the Board of Governors. You don't get to have that connection. I have made so many longtime friendships from the dinner, from the receptions, from those other events, and they are important. They're not the focus of what we do, but they certainly are important and play a vital role in how well we do the work we do. I'm clear about that. We had an anti-bias that I termed team building session for our executive committee members and senior bar staff. We had a Robert's Rules of Order instruction and training for our EC members. They weren't excited about that, but now they use it against me all the time via the Office of General Counsel Leadership. And we had a really important oral review last winter of bar staff functions, capacity, and needs to make sure that everybody was getting what they need and that they were fully engaged while working remotely. I don't know what it is about me and bar leadership, but when I was treasurer, we hired a new CFO. So I came on as a new treasurer of the State Bar of Georgia when Ron Turner came on as the new CFO. Then I become president-elect and I find out that we're losing our 40-plus year COO, 30-something years that Sharon had served. And we were losing our executive director that we had for the last 7 years. So two of our top leaders, and thankfully Paula didn't decide to leave us and hang out with, because I might have quit. So we hired two of our top senior staff this year. Damon Elmore, go on, stand up. Go on. Yes. And Sarah Cool is our COO. Stand up. You can imagine with everything else we had going on, I would not have chosen to have two of these important and crucial roles transition during the course of this year, but we dealt with it. And we thrived as a result of it. And I'm grateful for that. I'm not gonna bore you with any other stuff that I've done because we've done it together. Again, I'm going to take credit for everything. But I did nothing by myself. And again, I don't know that I would have chosen this opportunity to lead at this time had I known what was coming, but I know it was here for a reason. And all I kept trying to do through today, when I'm asking you to wear your mask and social distance, was doing my best. I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful for everyone who supported me. I'll have some more thanks, a few. This won't be as long, but tomorrow night. But it was my absolute pleasure to serve. It wasn't always fun, but I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you. But now?
Just indulge us for a quick point of personal privilege, please.
I hadn't seen my family. I had not seen my family since February of last year until yesterday. Bush. Okay, so this is, sorry, I'm so off right now. So this is my dad, Elwood Jones. I didn't know we were gonna do this. He's a Vietnam vet. 66. And this is my stepmom, Erna Jones. She is not a Vietnam vet. She's a fashionista. This is Warren Jones. He's officially my uncle, but since I'm a year older than him, I've been his boss all my life. And my brother, Elwood Jones, the only brother I got. I could give him away most of the time. You wouldn't buy him. But Marine Corps, Army, my cousin Renee Jones Forney, who I grew up with, who we used to get in a lot of fights in high school, but that was because of her, not me. And her daughter, Kirsten. So Renee, I can't even give you her title because it's kind of top secret, but she's been to the White House. I'm just gonna say that. Kirsten Forney just graduated from Spelman, my little cousin. So this is my family. Thank you. Oh, okay. We can get it afterwards. We can get it afterwards. You got it, Miss Erna? Okay. So, we have some other end of the year remarks that I welcome. I also refer you tomorrow, when you hear from our incoming president, please look at the reports that were submitted for tomorrow's Board of Governors meeting. That really highlights the work that we've done this year in a more detailed way. So, and I know it was ugly crying. I'd like to call up first, sorry, Chief Justice Harold Melton, Supreme Court of Georgia. And I gotta say, and I was extremely grateful to have his leadership this year, his calm demeanor, his sage advice, and greatly appreciate again the support the Supreme Court gives to our bar.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm going to ask you to take this time to get your act together. It's a privilege to be with you today. I will tell you that the Supreme Court is strong and well. The judiciary is strong and well. The court systems from top to bottom are strong and well. And our relationship with the courts to the bar is strong and well. That's the brief synopsis. I'll give you a story. When I was in the Attorney General's office, Chris Carr is here, one of the secretaries, and that's what we called them then, was a woman by the name of Peggy Procell. Peggy celebrated everybody's birthday, Flag Day, Arbor Day, Cinco de Mayo, whatever it was. And so we were constantly bringing in food items and things into the office. I started off bringing in plastic cups, ice, and then I settled in on cookies. And I'd bring in these cookies and they would say, these cookies are really good. Did you really make these? And I would tell them every time, all I know is when I went into the kitchen, there are no cookies. When I left the kitchen, there are cookies. And I perfected, and for special occasions, I would bring really, really good cookies. And they would say, gosh, these are really good. Did you really make these? And I would say again, all I know is when I went into the kitchen, there are no cookies. When I came out, there were cookies. What I'll tell you for the first time, what I'll disclose to you, it's never been shared before, those cookies were slice and bake. And there are people who did the hard work to make that happen. So we've made it through this year. We're at a place where we've never been in terms of the unity that President Don Jones was speaking of. And all that was because of a lot of hard work that others did. And I want to share just who those people are. And our internal COVID team within our court who are involved in every judicial order that went out. We have presiding Justice David Namias, Justice Michael Boggs, Justice Keith Blackwell, who is now in private practice, who really served us at a very critical time with his grand jury expertise, Justice Nels Peterson, our clerk of court, T. Barnes, and our deputy clerk of court, Tia Milton. Early on, I asked now Justice Sean LeGrew to chair our COVID task force, which he did well and in an impressive way. We were talking every night. She enlisted Judge Russ McClellan, state court judge, as her vice chair. And then I look across the judiciary and I see friends as presidents of each of the council. And I look at AOC and I see Cynthia Clanton and her team that's as strong as it's ever been. I do want to point out, David Dove is here. I want you to know how much support we actually receive from the governor's office. There's literally nothing we ask of the governor's office, whether it's a rule change or a provision in an emergency order that only they could issue, whether it's just a heads up on what's going on. Nothing happened, no request was made that they didn't say yes to. So thank you, David, and please thank the governor on behalf of the entire judiciary. And then to be able to look out and see Dawn Jones as president of State Bar and Damon Elmore as its executive director, it's made the difference. You never appreciate being together till it matters, and it mattered, and it made all the difference. So that's the main thing I want to share with you, is that we are united as never before as a judiciary, and even as the judiciary relates to the bar. Our Constitution describes our judicial branch as a unified entity. I think we're living up to that now. It's important to recognize that, because if you don't protect it, if you don't recognize it, you won't protect it. And when you need it, it won't be there. And it really doesn't matter that you're unified until it matters. And I've seen that now, and I will tell you that that's made all the difference in the world. And the last thing I want to say to the bar is to thank you. When I was working in the governor's office, I had put in for the position, and the chief of staff came in my office. He said, the governor's going to make his decision. You need to get on the plane, get down Savannah to the state bar meeting, and be seen. And I got down to Savannah, and for those of you who are too young, the governor's pick was somewhat unconventional. And I walked into the hotel and people didn't know whether to congratulate me or curse me or say something about my mother. They didn't know what to do with me. And it was a very awkward time. And I remember Mark Middleton was my security blanket. He walked me around, and the main thing that the bar did is, one, give me a chance. And then two, they protected the bench. And that's what this bar has done traditionally, is protect the bench. I hope that as you bring new members on to this board, that you teach them, instruct them about the unity and the relationship that you have with the courts, because it's really important. We're at the table, and as Dawn said, when we're at the table, we hash it out, we fight, we fuss, but we don't kick anybody out, and we don't exclude anybody based on the disagreements we've had. Y'all have been a bench rock, your foundation, and you have everything you need to continue to do great things for the state, and that is that you have each other. So thank you for everything you've done, and you've meant the world to me. God bless you.
I'd like to call up Chief Judge Christopher McFadden of the Court of Appeals. Someone else who I'm grateful that I've had a long relationship with, and I'm happy to see here.
Thank you, President Jones. As I'm following the Chief Justice, I'd like to begin by adding my voice to the chorus applauding his outstanding service to his court, to the judiciary, and to our state. It has been a privilege to serve alongside him. And it's worth pointing out that the emergency legislation under which we have been operating reposes enormous authority in the Chief Justice personally. But Justice Melton exercised that authority in a remarkably inclusive manner and did so with extraordinary grace. My own chiefship also ends on July 30th. Vice Chief Judge Rickman's investiture will be, on June, my term ends June 30th, and Vice Chief Judge Rickman's investiture will be June 24th. That has generated a certain amount of confusion, so let me make one thing perfectly clear. I am not stepping down from the Court of Appeals. God and electorate willing, I will serve on that court for many more years. The Court of Appeals has remained fully functional throughout the pandemic. We've been fortunate in that our work lends itself to remote operation. In acknowledging that good fortune, I want to also acknowledge the frontline service of our colleagues at the trial courts, who have faced unprecedented challenges and real danger. As for oral argument, we postponed it for 1 month when we imagined that the pandemic would be over shortly. Then we switched to Zoom. We found that appellate arguments are well suited to Zoom, so we've purchased the equipment necessary to allow more than one person, the presiding judge, to participate from the courtroom. And so beginning in August, we're going to try hybrid proceedings where a lawyer who wishes to participate remotely will have the option of doing so. We're thinking that that might be particular use for those for whom it's a mighty long drive. And that again will be in August. I don't know when we will resume off-site oral arguments. We haven't really focused on that yet. I hope that perhaps we'll be able to do it in late fall, but I'm confident we'll be doing it next year. So if you're interested in hosting us, please reach out to any of us, particularly the 2022 presiding judges who Judge Rickman has announced will be Judges Miller, Barnes, Doyle, Dillard, and myself. Our caseload, I've been asked if we've experienced a drop off, and we have. In 2020, we experienced a drop off of about 10% over 2019. But 2019 was a 4-year high, and the drop off between 2018 and 2020 was only 4%. What that caseload is to put it in numbers that are comprehensible for me talking to you, is 198 cases per judge per year in 2020. That comes out to about 4 cases per week per judge. Of those, 3 are opinions as opposed to applications or affirmances without opinion or dismissals. So each judge is responsible for authoring 3 opinions a week, and on the average, and participating, voting on 6 more. We don't know what's going to happen in the next few months, but we are guessing that as trials resume, we will experience a bump in our own caseload. Bar presidents often have signature projects, and I had one too. Our longstanding practice at the Court of Appeals is to hang portraits of judges who had left us after serving as chief judge. And that is a pretty good heuristic for someone whose tenure is appropriate for that kind of recognition. But there have been a couple of notable exceptions in recent years. Judges Harris Adams and Judge Debbie Burns left us too soon as a consequence of illness and premature death. And so earlier this week, I had the great privilege of presiding over the unveiling of a portrait of Judge Harris Adams by his daughter, distinguished professional artist, Liz Adams. And on July 13th, we will unveil a portrait of Judge Debbie Burns. I'd like to take just a few more minutes of your time to talk a little bit generally about the very peculiar institution on which it's my high privilege to serve, and also to take advantage of this distinguished audience to offer a couple of advocacy tips aimed at really good lawyers. 40 states and Puerto Rico have intermediate appellate courts, but only 27 states and Puerto Rico have a statewide appellate court. And Georgia is the largest in population of those. And while our state constitution provides the decisions of the Court of Appeals are binding on every court but the Supreme Court, that is not true of all 27 of those other courts, and I don't know about Puerto Rico. That is a meaningful advantage to Georgians. A Georgia lawyer trying to answer a question has a better chance of being able to find case law that authoritatively answers or at least sheds light on it than does his peer in Texas or Florida or California, where the writ of the Court of Appeals does not run past a county line. And on a related subject to precedent, I want to address a comment I've heard as long as I've been a lawyer, which is that you can find a Court of Appeals opinion on either side of any question. That's not really true, but it's not entirely false. We do often disagree among ourselves about the application of rules, but that is inevitable because law is not mathematics. But it's a very different thing to have a disagreement about what the rule is. And where divergences in the case law arise as the question of what a rule is, our system is designed to resolve that inconsistency, and sooner or later it will. So now, just a couple of tips about advocacy. It sometimes seems to me that too much about what judges say to lawyers about advocacies is at the level of read the rules for crying out loud. But I want to talk about a couple of things that I think I've seen really good lawyers miss. Underlying both is the idea of empathy with the reader or the listener, which is really the key to good writing generally, good speaking generally. The first is focused on the weakest point that you must win. Don't hide from it. What you have to say about that weakest key point is often the thing that we are most interested in hearing from you about. The second one is peculiar to the really good big cases that go to really elite lawyers. So those are the ones that come up to us with multiple case numbers. Please don't file identical briefs, and worse yet, please don't file almost identical briefs. We're not machines, and when we see something like that, we start skimming. And when we start skimming, we don't necessarily stop skimming when maybe we should. Our rules invite incorporation by reference of other appellate briefs in related cases, and there are other ways to deal with the problem. Again, the key is empathy with the reader. I am grateful for this opportunity to address you and for the high honor of serving on the Court of Appeals of Georgia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge McFadden. Now it's my pleasure to ask Attorney General of the State Bar, Attorney General of the State of Georgia, I'm not used to saying that, Attorney General of the State of Georgia, Chris Carr, to come forward.
Madam President, it was an honor. Your family invited us to join them on the elevator the other day, and it was great to get a chance to meet them. Thank you so much for giving me a chance to be here. And Madam President, thank you for all you've done for this meeting, for the staff, to make it so successful. I too want to thank Chief Justice Melton. In addition to being one of our great alums, he is a dear friend, and I want to thank the Chief for his service. And I truly appreciate, he and I spoke about a number of different issues over the past year, and his counsel and his friendship is invaluable. So Chief, I thank you very much. I want to take a little bit of time today to discuss how the Department of Law has been working over the past year and a half since last week, or 2 years since last week, I guess we got back together, and to protect lives and to protect livelihoods. Before I get into our official update, let me say thank you to all who participated in this year's Legal Food Frenzy. Bert, thank you so much for the leadership of the Young Lawyers Division, for the enthusiasm that you guys put forth every year. This competition is a great one. I've really enjoyed being a part of it, and the enthusiasm and the passion that the folks in the bar have given to it, particularly the Young Lawyers Division, is unbelievable. It really does. This competition, in my opinion, really shows the very best of what Georgia lawyers can be, not just because of our day jobs, but to be able to step up and provide leadership and an impact in our communities in so many ways. This year, we raised a record-breaking $936,883 for the state's regional food banks, and that's a round of applause. But what does that mean? More than 3.7 million meals that the food banks can deliver to those who are hungry. And so I thank again everybody who participated in this great program. Bert, thank you again. Appreciate it. I'm now 5 years on this job, and I still wake up every day grateful for the opportunity to serve as Georgia's Attorney General. We've obviously had some challenging times, and the world did not slow down due to COVID-19, and the work of our office did not as well. In 2020, we opened 7,077 matters, and we're on a similar trajectory for 2021. In addition to our casework for state agencies and boards and authorities, we take very seriously our role in protecting Georgian lives and Georgians' livelihoods. We will not tolerate those who will take advantage of our most vulnerable. As it relates to human trafficking, obviously an issue that I've taken very seriously, and we created our new Human Trafficking Prosecutions Unit in July of 2019. We just wrapped up Operation Not Forgotten, the second of its kind, with the U.S. Marshal Service and their regional fugitive task force. This operation focused on recovering missing children who are oftentimes thought to be exploited or at risk of child sex trafficking. We get most of the leads in this operation from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. In this operation alone, we rescued 16 kids and will have multiple cases against buyers and traffickers. Before this operation, we had already rescued 44 children and are targeting the rescue of 122 more. Overall, this unit has been working with DAs and law enforcement all around the state. In fact, Operation Not Forgotten, we worked with DAs from 7 different districts around the metro region and are so very grateful for their participation and their support as well. Our unit right now has more than 18 open cases spanning 9 different counties, and we've arrested 17 traffickers, indicted 7, and are targeting 50 more. And obviously, with the courts opening up again, grand jury's meeting, you'll continue to hear more out of that unit. And we continue to combat elder abuse through our consumer protection, prosecution, and Medicaid fraud divisions. Scams were rampant throughout COVID-19, with criminals taking advantage of fear and uncertainty and the unknown. From fake testing to false promises of vaccines, we worked with and continue to work with federal, state, and local partners to hold those accountable that would take advantage of us during these unique times. In addition to our casework, we're working really hard on prevention efforts. We have an older adults consumer protection guide that's very popular with law enforcement officials all over the state, houses of worship, senior centers, and more. We've translated the guide into Spanish, and we will soon complete our Korean translation. We want to make sure that our most vulnerable populations have access to resources and education to avoid falling victim in the first place. It's become all too common, unfortunately, for Metro Atlantans to wake up on Sunday morning to headlines like another violent weekend in Atlanta leaves 24 shot and 6 dead. Violence rattled Atlanta and seeing another spate of shootings. Man shot and killed while riding in a car on 400. As you all know, this gang-driven violent crime wave threatens the quality of life and our economy. And we must stand firm, take action, and fight the growing gang network with a better network of dedicated law enforcement professionals who want to keep people safe and put violent offenders behind bars. I launched the Georgia Anti-Gang Network in September of 2018 to pull together for the first time ever local, state, and federal partners to combat gang violence. We've identified 4 categories to focus on: strengthening multi-jurisdictional investigations and prosecutions, improving intelligence sharing capabilities, stopping recruitment, which goes as young as 4th graders, and increasing training efforts. We met last week for the 6th time, and we had a very productive conversation with the Fulton County DA, the Fulton County Sheriff, APD, and the Atlanta Police Foundation. We will continue to support our law enforcement officers as we crack down against gangs in Georgia, which right now is all about making money, selling guns and drugs and human beings and cybercrime, you name it. And we look forward to securing more resources for our office's fight against gangs. Acts of fraud and corruption have no place in Georgia state government. Those who are trusted to be public servants must discharge their duties ethically and honestly, and when they do not, we will work with our law enforcement partners to hold them accountable. We've had several notable cases recently, including a former Board of Regents member, the Paulding County District Attorney, and a former Chief Magistrate Judge in Pickens County. Additionally, our Medicaid Fraud Division recovered more than $21 million in judgments, settlements, and recoveries involving the state's program through civil enforcement actions during FY 2020. And also in FY 2020, our Medicaid Fraud Division secured the conviction of 18 individuals for crimes involving healthcare, fraud, neglect, abuse, and exploitation. Georgia is the best state in the nation to live, work, and raise a family. It is the role of the Department of Law to protect the rule of law, and I take that duty seriously. I'm honored to serve as Attorney General. I thank you for your time this morning. I thank you all for the important work that you do for our state, and please let me know how our office can be of assistance to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome David Dove from the office of our Governor, Brian Kemp. We actually have not met before today. We actually still haven't officially met. But he has reached out to me multiple times for us to connect and to let me know that we have the support of the governor's office. And I need to say publicly, I appreciate that. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
I think that highlights how great it is not to be on Zoom anymore. Well, good morning. Thank you all for having me back, as well as other members of the governor's office. We have Trey Bennett and Kristen Long here today as well, who serve as Deputy Executive Counsel for the governor. It seems like it's been forever, quite honestly, since we were together in Orlando. And as the conversation went earlier, that it's been 2 years, I was laughing because we actually joke in the governor's office that the last 2 years are counted in dog years. It has felt like that for sure. Before I begin, I do want to take an opportunity to thank the members of the bar for your kindness and consideration that you showed my wife and I. Last year, our younger son was born with 3 congenital heart defects. And we were in CHOA twice with him for surgery. And the bar community really surrounded our family. You gave us a lot of encouragement, kind words, prayers, thoughts. And that encouragement really buoyed us and got us through that time. And so I want to take this opportunity to say thank you. Wells, our son, is actually here at the conference. He's 17 months old today and is currently enjoying the pool. So thank you all very much. Many of you may not know the story of when we interviewed Dr. Toomey for the Department of Public Health commissioner job back in 2018 during the governor's transition. But a poignant moment from that interview, of course, Dr. Toomey has worked on pandemics across the globe and across the United States. The last question she was asked is, Dr. Toomey, what keeps you up at night? And she said, a global influenza pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen of the bar, 16 months has passed since COVID started. And over those 16 months, we've all been through incredibly trying times. And so it's exciting to stand before you all today in a in-person setting after 7.8 million vaccines have been administered in our state, to thank you all for helping move our state out of this pandemic and move us back into some sense of normalcy now. It took a lot of teamwork to get from where we were to where we are today. I think from a legal perspective, none of us in the governor's office really understood the work that would be involved going into a global pandemic back in March of 2020. And I'm not really sure any degree of training would have prepared us for what lay ahead. Over the last 16 months, we've issued 83 executive orders that have dealt with a broad range of issues, including removing barriers to vaccine distribution, allowing us to share data with the United States Department of Health and Human Services, as well as authorizing medical professionals, including cardiac technicians, EMTs, paramedics, to administer vaccines so that we could get that to a broader group of people. We allowed builders to have the option to use private providers to provide inspections so that they didn't have to wait for longer wait times that would normally be required under COVID protocols. We moved to virtual shareholder meetings, allowed for remote online notary, relaxed provisions to allow for somewhat remote grand juries. And we worked with our health professionals to ensure that the protocols that we had in place would be protocols that would protect the safety of Georgia's citizens, but also we worked with businesses from mom and pop operations in all corners of our state to large corporations in Atlanta to ensure that not only we protect lives, but also livelihoods of Georgians throughout this pandemic. And the one thing that has gone unreported through all that is the role that this bar has played in aiding the governor's office and in aiding our state out of this pandemic. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the members of the bar, to thank the committees and the working groups with the bar, and to personally thank the staff of the bar, as well as former President Darrell Sutton, President Don Jones, Christine Hayes. We spent countless hours on the phone, they acting as really liaisons to the different groups within the bar, to ensure that as we structured these orders, we were doing it benefiting from your all expertise in different areas to ensure that they were orders that applied in a way that benefited all Georgians. And so thank you all very much for your assistance during this time. I also want to take this opportunity to thank Chief Justice Melton. Chief Justice, sir, you are going to be incredibly missed with your departure at the end of June. Not only have we worked incredibly closely throughout the pandemic on the state's response, but we work incredibly closely on a variety of issues, both before and since the pandemic has occurred. And I just want to thank you for being a mentor, not only to me, but to the members of the bar, and for the incredible impact that you're leaving on this state. You're truly the consummate statesman and jurist, sir, and we thank you for your service. In addition to coming together to work as a team on the coronavirus, there's also another challenge that the state has faced that we worked as a team together with the bar on, and that is the tri-state water wars. And many of you know the water wars date back to when Rusty Sewell was in my role back in in Joe Frank Harris's administration. This has been a long fought battle for our state, between the states of Florida and Alabama, and dozens of lawyers from the bar have worked on this. And I want to note that we actually have several members of our judiciary that worked on that, including Justice Peterson, Justice Warren, and Judge Britt Grant, who have all represented the state in some capacity in that. So I want to take this opportunity to celebrate with you all the absolute obliteration is maybe the right word of Florida's case, the United States Supreme Court. We received a unanimous decision on April 1 of this year that not only found that there was no harm to Florida, but that there was a complete lack of evidence that any harm suffered, that any river species suffered serious injury from Georgia's alleged overconsumption of water. And without stronger evidence of actual past or threatened harm to species in the Apalachicola River, we cannot find it highly probable that these species have suffered serious injury, let alone as a result of any overconsumption by Georgia. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a huge victory for our state that many, many, many lawyers have had a part in. And I want to thank them today for helping set us on the right course, not only for our rural farmers in Southwest Georgia, but also for the Metro Atlanta region. So thank you very much. In addition to that, throughout the pandemic, we have continued in the work of building a judiciary that reflects our bar and our state. The governor's appointed 22 justices and judges since the beginning of the pandemic. And in all of those instances, they have not been able to participate in what would normally be the usual celebration of investiture that we have at the state capitol for those judges. So I want to take a moment to recognize those judges and justices today. And if you all would stand as I mention your name, if you're here in the room or across the street, I want to congratulate you. I want to note, first of all, Justice McMillan and Judges Pipkin and Colvin participated in the first outdoor swearing in ceremony that the state has ever had on, I believe, April 8th of 2020. I know we also have here Justice Sean LaGrua, who was appointed at the end of last year. And then at the Superior Court, Judge Buck Levins of the Anoda Judicial Circuit, Judge Layla Zahn of the Alcovey Judicial Circuit, who also has the distinct note of having the only Zoom interview with the governor that we've conducted on judicial interviews so far. Ben Miller of the Griffin Judicial Circuit, Tommy Smith of the Middle Judicial Circuit, Greg Voiles, Southern Judicial Circuit, Pandora Palmer in Flint, Shaveda McCamey in Alcovey, Judge Connie Williford in Macon, Judge Jesse Stone in Augusta, Judge Dick Perryman in Alapaha, who is the former district attorney there, Judge Rosemary Green, also a former district attorney in the Cherokee Judicial Circuit, Judge Nancy Bills, former state court judge, Rockdale County, Judge Vinnie Lottie of the State Court of Henry County, Judge Danielle Roberts of the State Court of Henry County, Robert Gardner, Barrow County, Clarence Cuthbert, former probate judge in Rockdale County, now on the state court, and Judges Eric Bruton in Cobb County and Ashley Palmer, who I know is here from Cobb County. Congratulations to you all. But in sum, I just want to thank you all again for having us here. We have an open door in the governor's office. If any of you need us for anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. And it is an honor to be here today. Thank you all very much.
Thank you again, David. And again, it's my pleasure to meet you. Next, we have the House Judiciary Committee of the Georgia General Assembly, Representative Chuck Efstration, who happens to be the chair. of said committee.
Well, thank you so much, President Jones. It's such an honor to be here with all of you today. My name's Chuck Efstration. It's a pleasure to join you for the first time as the chairman of the Georgia House Judiciary Committee. We've had a very busy year at the state capitol. I practice in Gwinnett County, previously served as president of the Gwinnett Bar Association. I'm very grateful to the service that each of you put forward. Had a very busy session this year. Of course, much of the legislation revolved around response to COVID-19. There were several important bills that maybe I can highlight for you here, and I'll be around today and tomorrow. So certainly if there are any specific questions for legislation, I'd be happy to discuss that with you. The liability protection bill that had been passed by the General Assembly in our resumed session in June of 2020 the sunset was extended this year. That was important to many in the business community. We also had legislation to allow for court proceedings to take place outside of the courthouse, judges to sign orders when they're outside of the state, and also to deal with criminal speedy trial demands after the judicial emergency orders expire. These all were important issues which couldn't have been passed, couldn't have been done without participation with the state bar. And I want to thank the state bar leadership, all the committee and sections that work so hard on legislation. And I want to give a special thank you to your team at the state capitol. Christine Hayes and her staff are just incredible to work with. They're certainly able to get us quick responses and answers when needed. And so we're very grateful for them. Additionally, this was a really historic year in the passage of the repeal of Georgia's citizens arrest statute. So after the historic Hate Crimes Act was passed in 2020, attention really turned to repeal of the state citizens arrest law. This was because in the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, it was cited as a basis to allow for legal justification. And I, as chairman of the Judiciary Non-Civil Committee, started holding hearings on that in 2020. We brought legislation which was worked on by Marissa Dodson with the Southern Center for Human Rights, who did incredible work to prepare that legislation. She unfortunately passed away just recently, and she will be dearly missed at the state capitol. Her work and advocacy has helped countless Georgians, and she was also just a terrific person to know. The legislative session began, and thanks to Governor Kemp and David Dove, who we just heard from, the governor made the repeal of the citizens arrest statute a legislative priority of the administration, which was really incredible. And as a result of that leadership, the bill passed unanimously in the Georgia House. Georgia is now the first state in the country to repeal citizens arrest, which is really an incredible thing for us to speak about and be proud of as we talk about social justice across the country. And I'm grateful to the governor for that. Just a few other issues of note briefly here. The state also passed paid parental leave for all state employees, which was a very important thing to do, and I'm very proud of our state leading in that regard. Additionally, I've received some questions about House Bill 166, sponsored by Representative Earhart from Cobb County. This would cause the state to receive bar dues in the general fund, and I'm happy to report to you that that bill didn't progress. It didn't go anywhere. Certainly we'll continue to monitor and track it this year. There was a Democrat co-sponsor of the bill who I believe came off the bill, took her name off. So that bill is not moving. Additionally, Senate Bill 9, which created the Columbia Judicial Circuit, was a topic this year. Certainly any time that there's legislation to consider judicial boundaries, it's something that we take very seriously. The testimony we received in committee was Columbia County is one of the largest counties population-wise without a single judicial circuit. And that bill passed unanimously in the state Senate with Senator Harold Jones, who's the Democrat whip and a practicing attorney in Augusta, supporting the legislation. So that was an interesting process to go through and to see testimony about that. I do expect that we will be having hearings on potential legislation for the 2022 session over the coming months, so that there'll be plenty of time and opportunity for those who want to speak out and join in on issues to have a chance to do so. Again, my name's Chuck F. Stration. It's such a pleasure to be with you here today. And I invite members of the bar, if you were ever by the state capitol or interested in just coming to visit during the legislative session, assuming COVID protocols permit, we'd love to have you. And certainly my office and the Judiciary Committee is open to you. Think that we really need to lean on with a part-time legislature. We need the support of members of the bar across the state who are willing to give input and support to important considerations that we have to give in policymaking. And I want to thank you all for this time here today. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Jen Jordan, Chair of the Senate Special Judiciary Committee, and my good friend, to give us an update. And as she's coming up, I also want to let you all know that notice that this afternoon CLE is on lawyers as legislators and why that's important. So if you haven't already signed up, hopefully you can attend.
Good morning, everybody. Man, I am so happy to see all of you in person. It has been a really, really long time. So Chairman F. Stration covered a lot of ground, so I'm going to be brief. I think everyone in this room knows the last 16 months have been very, very difficult. And unfortunately, COVID-19 was just one of the reasons why. We did pass a lot of legislation with respect to the response to COVID-19. And one of the bright spots of this last legislative session was the repeal of the citizens arrest law. It should have happened a long time ago. But I'll say that most of the oxygen was taken out of the room at the Capitol with respect to the elections bills. And I'm sure y'all have seen it. It's dominated basically the national spotlight. SB 202, y'all should pay attention to that. It's approximately 100 pages long and basically completely upends the way we have run elections in the state of Georgia. And specifically with respect to local elections boards, which a lot of y'all are interested in, y'all need to pay attention because it gives a mechanism for the state election board to effectively come in and take over those local elections boards. It's completely counter to how we've run elections forever and a day. And it could be used in a way, that isn't good, frankly. Another bill to pay attention to is SB 221. It's been signed into law. They call it the Ethics in Government Law. But effectively what it does is it allows for contributions. They're capped right now. Doesn't matter as much money as you want to give to these things called leadership committees. And you can give the money during session. So right now, during the legislative session, we're not allowed to take donations. And that makes sense, right? We don't want kind of a pay for play situation, especially if there is legislation right in front of us. You don't want a lobbyist stroking you a check, that kind of thing. This kind of takes those protections away. And it's something we need to keep our eyes on as we go into 22, obviously. I want to end with bringing y'all's attention to redistricting. That's what we're going to be doing this year. Normally, we have a special session in summer and we draw the maps and we adopt them. But because of the census numbers have been delayed because of the pandemic, all of that's been pushed. So we should get the full census numbers, I think, approximately in September. The governor will call a special session that I think is supposed to happen in November of this year. And so you may think, okay, well, redistricting, how does that affect me? Well, ultimately, what redistricting is it's drawing the lines for every level of government. So you're talking about, school board, city councils, county commissions, and the like. So everything that affects our lives at every level, redistricting kind of is a part of that. So some town halls are starting next week. I think the first is virtual. And then there's going to be ones through the June and July all over the state. If you have an opportunity, please attend. Redistricting is a difficult subject legally because there's all kinds of, there's so many Supreme Court cases and the like. And if you haven't litigated these cases, they're tough. But I think as lawyers and as leaders in our community, we need to be as engaged as possible through this process. And just to make sure that, you know, people aren't doing stuff they shouldn't be doing, right? So thank y'all. I really appreciate the opportunity. Please come to the CLE. I can tell you in the state Senate, we have 8 lawyers, 8 out of 56 state senators. So it absolutely impacts legislation, how well it's written. I mean, if you're not a lawyer, a lot of times you don't know the real life impact of a law on real people in this state. And so the fact that we don't have any lawyers absolutely, you know, has impacted, I think, the quality of legislation in the last few years. And it really has hurt a lot of the people that we represent and our communities. So if you ever have the opportunity to run, I hope you will. It is a sacrifice, but I think it's one that is absolutely necessary. So thank y'all.
Thanks, Jen. And thanks to all of you who are serving as lawyer legislators in Georgia. We understand and appreciate your sacrifice. Memorials. So in your, which I clearly haven't looked at today, in your meetings brochure on pages 21 and 22, there's a list of members of the bar that we've lost this past year. Since the 2020 annual meeting of the State Bar of Georgia, approximately 179 members have passed away. At this time, we pause to pay tribute to them. As we reflect upon the memory of these members, we are mindful of the contributions they made to the bar in our state. Each generation of lawyers is indebted to the one that precedes it. Each of us is the recipient of the benefits of the learning, dedication, zeal, and standard of professional responsibility that those who have gone before us have contributed to the practice of law. We are saddened that they are no longer in our midst, but privileged to have known them and to have shared their friendship over the years. Can we please take a moment of silence for those we've lost? Thank you. It is my distinct pleasure to ask Bert Hummel, President of the Young Lawyers Division of the State Bar of Georgia, to come up and provide remarks. And then I'll come up and close us out.
Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. It's my distinct pleasure to rise before you today to give my one and only remarks live and in person. And seeing as I am the last thing that is in front of you, that pool and beach, I will do as many coaches and authority figures in my life have told me over the years and learn when to shut up. I will be brief. Before I get there, though, it has been my distinct privilege to serve as the president of the Young Lawyers Division this past year. As Don has pointed out, it wasn't the year that either of us had envisioned when we ran for these positions 5 years ago. One of my campaign goals was to embrace technology in the courts, and mission accomplished there. I apologize that it came so abruptly, but I do appreciate the bench's leadership in allowing us lawyers time to catch up. Actually, before I even proceed, I do want to thank Michelle, Geike, Michael Nixon, Sarah Cool, and the bar staff, Damon, for everything y'all have done, for having us all here in person. It really does mean a lot to see all these faces, to have those conversations out when you're getting coffee or getting water. You're ignoring the person speaking, like myself right now. I know there are people conjuring about, but thank y'all for all y'all have done to get us here. It's no small effort, so thank you one last time to the bar staff. The Young Lawyers Division has never been better. And we have received a lot of benefit from leaders across the state who stepped up over this last year. When I gave my opening remarks via Zoom in my little Brady Bunch box, I challenged everybody to be leaders in their communities, leaders in their profession, and don't let the inexperience of age hold you back. And I, as the leader of the Young Lawyers Division this past year, benefited greatly from those young lawyers across our state. I'm just going to read some of the programs that we were able to accomplish despite the fact that we lived in a virtual world and were living at work rather than working from home. The poll worker program that we started in response to difficult times and adjusting during the June primaries was one of my top priorities after speaking with a lot of local leaders across the state. If you don't know, this was a program that was started by a YLD director in conjunction with the Secretary of State's office, embraced by local county election boards across our state. We benefited from having hundreds of attorneys. In fact, so many attorneys try to show up and sign up to be poll workers that in numerous counties in the metro Atlanta area and Chatham County, they were turned away because they just didn't have space for them. And I really appreciated that, because these attorneys, I mean, we were in a pandemic and it was during a time where it was still a very novel virus and there weren't a lot of answers out there. And you had to show up and you had to dedicate yourself to not only a training session, but to a 13, sometimes in the metro Atlanta area, 15-hour day. I see Will Davis nodding his head very feverishly because he served at one of those polls. And our president-elect, Lissa Haynes, did as well. But then they got the distinct pleasure of, what is the prize in a pie eating contest, more pie, of serving in a runoff election in January. And a lot of that was due to, again, the consciousness and leadership of these attorneys, selflessness, and knowing that, that this was an important thing that our election process needed and relied on. In fact, in Fulton County, the elections board, in once again conjunction with the Secretary of State's office, created a deputy registrar. And this was for a lawyer only could serve as a deputy registrar. And their sole job was to cancel out those folks who had previously requested to vote absentee, but their ballot didn't get there in time. They weren't able to drop it off. Lawyers are great procrastinators, and so they could really sympathize, I think, with these voters. But they could go in and cancel it out and allow them to vote in person. And I think that that is very important for our process. And I was happy to see that attorneys and our state leaders both worked hand in hand for that program. And we were very proud of that. And I would hope that it will continue. And for those lawyers who did it, who haven't applied already, you were allowed CLE credit for that program as well. So we thank CCLC for approving that. That program was actually copied by a number of states. I believe we were the first when we submitted the application to do that. And I know that others followed suit. Ohio had the same type of program, but it was not started by their bar. So I'm not including Ohio as the initial program. We were also, because of the poll worker program, a lot of the folks who worked the polls donated their stipend. And we were able to double the amount of public interest grants that we give for our PIP program. Those are for attorneys who work in public service, while law students who are working a summer program, who would otherwise go unpaid, were able to actually be paid. And the PIP program was able to go from 2 to 4 grants so that those students could do that type of work. It is dirty, it is real. You're face to face with some of these folks who just are looking for an advocate in their fight for justice. So we were very, very proud to expand that this year. We were also able to continue our wills program. This was started years ago, where the Young Lawyers Division sets up shops in different communities across our state to provide estate planning for first responders. This time, the Women in the Profession Committee, led by Jenna Emery and Lindsay Macon, were able to expand that to frontline workers that included educators, nurses, healthcare folks that were on the front lines of this COVID-19 battle. The response with AVLF, where the folks signed up, was overwhelming as well. Once again, our bar had over 100 attorneys sign up for this program that lasted for the entire month of November, and due to its success, the entire month of April. And we were able to help several hundred members of our citizens of the state of Georgia who had served on our front lines
over the past year create estate planning documents. As Attorney General Carr mentioned, the legal food frenzy was a resounding success. I joked with my predecessor, Will Davis, that my hashtag was beat Will, and we're going to beat him, although I had real no expectation that would happen because Will's efforts led to $830,000 raised last year. And this year, the bar across the state raised, as the Attorney General said, $936,000, which was at this time, working with our food banks and talking to them, especially in the more rural areas of Georgia, they were depleted, completely depleted. COVID-19 has hit some folks harder than others. I'm blessed to be in a position where that wasn't the case for myself and my family, but I know that people lost their jobs and they didn't know where their next meal was going to come from, where it was coming from. So there was 1.7 million Georgians that are considered food insecure. And with that $936,000, that was 3.7 million meals for Georgians who are otherwise food insecure. So thank you for the support of the bar. Our committee chairs, Veronica Roguski and Morgan Lindell, did a fantastic job in finding ways to raise money that amount during a pandemic by using social media. I think we had a few cameos from Atlanta sports stars and videos from members of our bar, including the Attorney General, who was gracious enough to go around on a press tour. So we're thankful for his office as well. I'm going to roll through some of these, but the Young Lawyers Division continued to do a Saturday Lawyers program, helping the needy in different communities across Georgia, a record removal program in various communities across the state. We had a landlord-tenant week where we helped those that were dealing with evictions, both landlords and tenants, who were just trying to get advice on how to proceed under these new eras, new waves, new pieces of legislation and orders that have been handed down. Our Disaster Relief Committee, led by Donovan Eason, teamed with the Georgia Emergency Management Agency and other identified regional support to increase our presence in those areas so that those folks knew where to turn in case of a disaster. FEMA provides a good amount of funds for folks when a natural disaster is declared, and you can submit certain insurance bills to your own insurance company if you have it, or to FEMA or GEMA programs. And we were able to expand that across the state in case of a natural disaster. Luckily, this past year, we did not have to deal with too much, but we are better prepared for future years. The moot court, mock trial, and other law school advocacy programs were able to roll on so that future advocates that will be much better at arguing in front of the Court of Appeals and Supreme Court than probably myself, but that they will continue to hone their skills in law school. We were able to do that in virtual programs and a national moot court program and the interstate moot court program here in Georgia. We had a Secret Santa and holiday gift giving by various of our local affiliates across the state, as well as several committees within the YLD. We had a new YLD Speakers Bureau that offered different topics on the law, including the pandemic experience and judicial bias, that they were able to have several hundred attorneys earn CLE credit by attending those virtual programs. Attorney wellness was once again on the top of the YLD's mind as we tried to have physical components and workouts at every one of our meetings virtual. I'm not sure if people didn't just wet themselves with a hose and take a selfie to get a free breakfast, but be that as it may, we got the hashtag spread even further. So we were happy to see that. The YLD Review, our newsletter led by Lakeisha Randall and Ashley Akins, they were able to put out a more diverse newsletter by teaming with voluntary bar associations across our state to get more content that mattered to our members. And we were really proud of that because it expanded in a virtual setting. We no longer print a copy of the YLD Review because, as the most fiscally responsible president of the Young Lawyers Division, we're all about cutting costs here. In conclusion, I am proud of the compliments and look forward to those tonight who can attend the YLD dinner. We'll hand out some awards and try to be done before the end of Game 3 of the Hawks and 76ers playoff series. I will do my best. But the YLD is in great hands as I transition the presidency to Alyssa Haynes. I know that her goals for the upcoming bar year will be just as ambitious and impactful as mine, and I wish her the best in her year.
And I appreciate all of your all support. I want to thank Dawn for her leadership over the past year, the chief for all his leadership over the past year and guiding our courts for the betterment of all Georgians. And I hope that you all will continue to mentor young lawyers and encourage their leadership across the state and encourage them to be more involved because I know that Mr. Darrell Sutton, others from my original stomping grounds of Cobb County were very vocal in trying to get me to continue a leadership path, and it meant the world to me. So thank you all. If I can ever be of service in the future, please let me know. But please, after this meeting and the dinner tonight, I would like to enjoy a couple of adult beverages by the pool and beach. And I hope to see you all in the next bar year. So thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Folks, I just want to remind you, if you have the sign-in sheet, if you could just pass them up, we'll collect them. And if you're in the other room, if you could pass them up as well. I'll remind those who participated virtually, just make sure we have your name. You've signed in with your name. And if you called in, please let us know. Send us an email. You can send it to my email or Sarah's or somebody's email in the bar. Thanks so much.
This is definitely a tag team effort. I just want to close out with a couple of personal comments. One, I had hoped today to take, because we hadn't met, executive committee has not met in person all year, for us to have a 2020-2021 executive committee picture. There are a couple of members who are not able to make it with us today, to be with us today. We're going to take the picture tomorrow. But I do want to make you all stand up. I'm including those executive committee members who are in the audience to stand up so that everybody can see, because we have at least 6 Board of Governors executive committee members who don't get to sit up here. And I need you to take a good look at the folks who worked hard for you this year. And what I just said was, I need y'all to stand up. Thank you. Thank you. I know you've been looking at them, but I need you to get a good look at these folks. They worked really hard for you. Thank you. Last thing, if there are any group photos, I don't know how much time we have in this room before they have to set up for other stuff, because I believe we're going to be, I'm not sure where we're going to be. Yeah, the Wild D dinner is going to be in here. But if any organizations, I understand Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys are asking every member, I'm acting like I'm not 2005 president. That organization is asking for every GABWA member to come to the Osprey Ballroom, especially those of you in the other building, to come over here as quickly as possible, some group photos. I'm also going to personally take a point and ask Alpha Kappa Alpha members to come to this ballroom to take a photo. And if there are any other group photos, as long as we got communications folks here, I think we'd be happy to accommodate you before we have to kick you out within the next hour. Assuming there's nothing else for the good of the order, I'm going to adjourn this meeting and look forward to working with you all as immediate past president. Thank you.